What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to episode 1 of the Crypt podcast. I have been mentioning this podcast for quite a while, and what I want to do after this little initial flagship, whatever you want to call it, first episode here, I want to start getting my my guests on here. I am interested in talking with my fellow creators. I am interested in talking with my viewers. Anybody has a story, interesting story to share about an experience that they've had in the cemetery. Anything weird, unexplained, whatever. I want to talk to everybody that I possibly can talk to, and have them on the podcast as a guest. As you see here, the format of the podcast is it's a video podcast. So basically, I would have myself on the screen, and the screen would be split if I had a guest, and then the guest would be on the other side of the screen, and we'd be talking back and forth about whatever the topic of the podcast would be. So, like I said, eventually I want to get my guests on here. I want to talk to my fellow creators. I want to talk to my viewers. I want to get as many people up on the Crypt podcast as humanly possible. Now, this is also going to go on my podcasting platform that I'm using. I'm also going to be uploading an audio version of this podcast to my podcasting platform as well. So there'd be more than one area to see this podcast or hear this podcast. You'd be able to see it on YouTube, or if people aren't into YouTube too much, whatever, they can go over to the podcasting, the audio side. My podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I'm on just about all of them right now. I'm listed on just about all of them. So you might want to do that if the video part of it or the YouTube part of it is not your thing. Now, getting back to the topic of my first episode here. I get this question a lot from people, a lot. And I've mentioned it before, but I thought, what the hell? Let me just do this, throw it out there, and talk about it a little bit. I have people asking me, have I ever experienced, while I'm filming content, whether it's in a cemetery, whether it's in a mausoleum, have I ever experienced anything weird, unexplained, whatever? There's this one time, there's been a couple times, but one time in particular that was very, very strong. It's out here in Hayward, California. It's called Mount St. Joseph Cemetery, or it also goes by the name of All Saints Cemetery. It's up in the Hayward Hills a little bit here in Hayward. It's like an old, it's all like pioneer type cemetery. The graves and the people go there go back to the 1800s. There's some founding fathers up there, just all kinds of just old graves up in there. And one day, about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, I was in there filming content, and I came across this one grave, this one stone of a family. And the family's name was Rogers. The last name was Rogers. And, I was going around showing the whole cemetery. And then when I got to this one particular grave that was marked Rogers, I showed the stone, talked a little bit about it, read some of the names and whatnot. I got this crazy, overwhelming sense that somebody or someone was standing extremely close to me. And I explained this before, how like the feeling you get when you're in line at a store, in line somewhere, and you kind of sense when someone is standing kind of close to you, and you just kind of turn around and go, what the hell? At this one particular grave of the Rogers family, I had that feeling. It was an odd feeling. It was a crazy feeling. I could probably link the video. I should probably link the video in the description box of this video so you can watch the video yourself. There was a point, I do believe, where I had to stop filming and walk away from that area because it was just such a weird, crazy, overwhelming like feeling that I needed to get away from that area. So it felt like something was around me. I needed to get away from that area, and I walked away some feet, some ways, and I returned on my camera, and I just started kind of talking about what I experienced. At the moment, I was a little shook at the moment. I was a little like, what the hell was that? I was kind of confused, shook. And it was just really, really weird. And that was like one of the most like odd experiences that I've ever had, while doing cemetery exploring. There was another incident, and I also filmed this as well. It was the Stockton Rural Cemetery in Stockton, California, out here. Another old cemetery. And I was doing the grounds there, but then I did a mausoleum video. Their old mausoleum. The mausoleum was kind of creepy. There were sections where the lights didn't work. It was dark. There was like these little like rooms off to the side that were like columbarium kind of areas where there were ashes, in the cases, the urns in the cases, and the lights weren't on in those rooms. Or there was like a private family area that didn't have lights on in there. And some of the lights in the main hallway, the only light in that mausoleum you had was really just what was coming through the windows, the stained glass. And if you're in an area without like stained glass window in the ceiling or anything, it was fairly dim or dark in that mausoleum. And I had walked up to this one private family area, and it was a gate closing it off, but you could go inside. So I unlocked it, went inside, kind of showed it, came out, closed the gate, and I did the latch. And I walked up the hallway, going the other direction for a few feet, showing different graves and just different nameplates on the little spots of there, the mausoleum, and just talking about different stuff. I turned around and go back down the hallway, and I did film this as well. And the little gate at the end of the hallway that I just closed and latched, from what I remember, had come open. And that was kind of odd. So I went back down the hallway and closed it and latched it again. And then the door kind of started opening up again. I'm not going to say that was anything. I could have just been like a messed up latch on that little gate or whatever. But that was just there was two incidents in there that was just so odd. That it was kind of like, that's kind of weird. I don't know how to explain that one, but the second one was kind of, I guess you could kind of explain it. It could have been a bad latch on the door or whatever, on the little gate. But the first one that was in Mount St. Joseph Cemetery there on the hill, that was really weird, and kind of unexplained and strange and everything else. So yeah, that was kind of creepy. But I get that question asked a lot, and that's my honest answer. Just once or twice that I've experienced something, but I would say the first one I mentioned was probably pretty, I would say, more legit than the second one, because the second one you could explain it. The first one, that overwhelming sense of something around you, I just couldn't explain that, and that was really, really weird. Anyway, guys, that was my experiences, my strange, unexplained experiences while in a cemetery. So I am raring to go on this podcast deal. I want to get my fellow creators on. Ada from the Stories Beneath. If you follow her channel, she does a lot of like cemetery exploring. She does really awesome stories on her explorations, and gets a lot of information on people and finds out stories on people and tells a really awesome story. I know Ada. I know her from TikTok. She's got a really large following on TikTok, and she does a lot of awesome TikToks. So you go look up the Stories Beneath on TikTok or here on YouTube. She's one of the ones for sure I want to get on the podcast. Her and I have been talking about doing a podcast kind of thing for quite a while now. And now I've kind of started to figure this whole thing out. I'm on a platform here where I could have the both of us on the screen at the same time, split screen, and talking to my guests. I want to get, like I said, as many people, creators on here as humanly possible. So hit me up in the email, cryptdoor@gmail.com. Definitely, I want to have people on here who have some crazy, interesting, unexplained, story to tell, whether it just be in a cemetery or not even in a cemetery. Maybe you were in a house that could have been haunted, or just whatever, just anything interesting. I want to get as many people on here as humanly possible. All my cemetery explorers, whether it be you be a YouTube creator, content creator, or not, I just want to get everybody on here and just talk to everybody. All right, guys, thank you so much. Let me know in the comment box below, if you'd be willing to be on the podcast, or just hit me up in the email, cryptdoor@gmail.com. Thank you all so much. Hopefully we'll have guests on the next one. I'll have a guest or so, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Peace